UFOs kicked in at about 5. Bigfoot was probably between 7 and 8.
I have read that some believe that Bigfoot or Sasquatch have paranormal or superpowers.
You're doing it to me.
Well, I have to ask you that because you're into paranormal things,
Right.
clearly. What do you think about that?
Okay, so you're talking about the woo. That's what Bigfooters and people who are enthusiasts and interested in the subject, that's known as the woo.
Okay.
And the woo encompasses anything that is not really physical evidence, like footprints in the ground, castings.
Right.
Mind speak. I don't know who said it, but paranormal is only paranormal because we don't understand it yet.
Huh.
It's not necessarily something that is supernatural or like from beyond.
Yeah.
We just don't understand it.
We're not familiar with it.
The U.S. military invested millions of dollars into a project when they started using people to remote view.
Yeah.
And they spent millions of dollars on this project because it's real and it works. So we know that psychic abilities exist. So can Bigfoot's mind speak? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Can they affect how you feel when you're in their presence? Infrasound is known in the natural world. Tigers create it with a very low frequency in their growl, and it's designed to scare you.
Yeah.
It makes you freeze.
Yeah.
That's part of their hunting.
Yeah.
They get the prey to not move, and it becomes an easier target. Not necessarily saying that Sasquatch or Bigfoot use that because we're prey, but is more of an intimidation, I think, as more of an influence to get out of the area because that's where they are. That's what they call home.
Right.
Possibly that's a birthing area. They have young ones there. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I think there is something to the woo. And like you get the academics like Jeff Meldrum, and who's extremely well respected and has done a phenomenal job with the footcasts and stuff like that. And even Cliff Barackman from Finding Bigfoot, they rest on this wall of science. They lean against it pretty heavily because it's easy to back yourself up when you have proven science standing behind you.
Mm-hmm.
With the woo aspects of it, we can't really measure that.
Mm-hmm.
Mental telepathy doesn't leave a footprint
Right.
in the
Right.
ground. Something physical does. So how do you measure that? And I don't think you can. So I think that's why they stay away from discussing that kind of stuff. And you can't even really, I've had personal conversations with both, and you really can't even get them off the record to talk about it because they don't have a basis to stand behind it. But it's always been one of the more interesting aspects of Bigfootery to me.
Yeah.
And I think it is. I think they have attributes. I guess I've said this before in some of my shows. Back when we were living out on the plains,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a fire ring, and we were sleeping around the fire and the open sky above us, and we were sleeping with one eye open because we didn't know what kind of predator
Right.
was going to come into the camp, or somebody had to stay up all night to make sure that the other members of the tribe didn't get taken by a wild animal or some kind of predator. That was a long time ago. We've had walls and ceilings and roofs and lockable doors and windows around us for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think we've lost some of our senses. not to say we had 6, 7, 8, 9 senses. I'm just saying
We haven't needed them.
the acuteness of our senses have been dulled because we don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these things do exist, and I believe they do. If they're living out in the wild and they're having to,
Right.
there's no evidence that these things are creating any kind of household structures. There's nesting areas, there's other places that kind of give the impression of it might be some kind of a lodge, but they're not structured housing.
Right.
And there's no real evidence to show that these things are known to use anything more than maybe rudimentary tools. We never hear about fires in the middle of the woods where there's nobody at. We don't know that they're using fire, so I imagine that they have to be relying on their senses way more than what we do.
Right.
And they, quite honestly, if you're walking into a wooded area and they're there, they probably know way in advance
Right.
that you're walking in. They probably hear their car door slam, from a long, long way. And I've read a couple of papers that are talking about the light sensitivity, how little bit of light over like a mile and a half away that they can recognize. Now, I don't know exactly how they know that, but I imagine it's all theories. But it's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But